Ryan, thank you very much. Retired Navy Captain Lawrence Brennan is a former State Department advisor and a professor of Admiralty and International Maritime Law at Fordham University. So, Larry, a pleasure. Thank you so much for rolling by. When you hear the president say the strike was, quote, not proportional to shooting down an unmanned drone, do you agree?
I agree in that limited instance, but this is an occasion where there have been 7 non-lethal attacks by Iran in the last couple of weeks, in the last 5 weeks, and that needs to be considered. And this is a different type of instance than the tanker war in the 1980s, where there were non-existential issues involved. If you separated the argument from Iran's constant desire, stated desire, to have nuclear weapons, it's a different story. If this is mere retaliation for the attacks on the tankers and the drone, that's one thing. But if it's a bigger picture, at some time the president's going to have to face a choice, and it's a dilemma. It's a dilemma that we've been talking about in the United States for 40 years, since the hostages were taken, and that's a big problem.
So my next question would be if you commend him for his restraint, but it sounds like, based upon everything you've explained leading up to this point, he may have to go there. He may have to go there. His predecessors may have had to go there, and maybe they didn't. I was involved in the Iranian hostage rescue mission almost 40 years ago, and some could argue that if things had worked differently, and not necessarily that mission, but if the U.S. policy at the time of the Carter administration had been different, we would not be faced with the problem we have. We've inherited the British Empire east of Suez in the late 1960s, early 70s. I don't think we've ever had a coherent global strategy the way the British Empire did for the century plus before then. And this is a major worldwide problem. It's environmental problems, it is fuel problems, and it's economic problems, plus the warfare problem. And the president said the right words. The one good thing to remember about litigation and warfare is you may be late, but if you're wrong forever. So the president's deferral as to taking the cart off is different. On the point of stopping short, a source tells CNN that just because the commander-in-chief stopped short, it doesn't mean there won't still be a response. How do you interpret that?
I interpret that as the table's open. The next move is Iran's. Hopefully there's quiet discussions, directly or indirectly, between the United States and Iran, maybe through an intermediary. And if Iran recognizes that its 7 non-lethal steps could lead to lethal action and kinetic response, there are a lot of non-kinetic, non-direct military responses that this administration, its allies, friends, and the United Nations could bring to suggest and to direct Iran. If Iran takes the radical step and goes militarily against Iraq, that would be a catastrophically wrong decision.
Okay, so the world is watching Iran now as it is their next move.
Absolutely.
Larry Brennan, thank you very much for coming by, and clearly your knowledge and expertise there. You know, most offensive military action typically requires congressional approval, but House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says that her conversations with the president never indicated that he would